Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my Why You Should Settle series for Kenshi. Now that I think about it, that sounds like a really bad dating show title. Anyhow, this episode we're going to be covering gut, but before I begin, I just want to thank everyone who liked and commented on my first video. It received positive responses that were beyond what I expected, far beyond what I expected. I just want to thank you all so much if you watched that first video. And I also want to thank DragonJV2 for the suggestion on the second episode. Because, as it turns out, I love gut. I've settled there twice. It is one of my favorite spots, and I would love to get into why. Oh, hey there, Peep. You're in United Cities territory. Can you head down to gut for me?
Yes, Paul.
While he's on his way, let's cover the basics of Gut's geography and its resources. Gut makes up a small portion of the east coast of the map and is bordered by Hang and Howler Maze to the north, the Eye to the west, and then Storm Gap Coast to the south. Even though Gut technically does make up a portion of the eastern coast, it still is relatively central in relation to the map. As you can see, just two regions to the west, you have the Deadlands, which is a very important location in the mid to late game. Due to being centrally located on the east coast, Gut is also within a short distance of several United Cities locations. If you intend to harass the United Cities, as we often all do during our playthroughs, you don't have anything to worry about in Gut either. There is Black Scratch in the south here. There's a waste station in the Grey Desert where you can sell things. And then, of course, you can go to the Deadlands to sell things as well. In addition to Gut's strong geographical location, there are plenty of resources available in Gut. It sports around 75% fertility, 100% green, and 50% arid. If you've seen my Green Beach video, then you may notice here that the fertility rating in Gut is very similar to that of Green Beach. And both are very strong. Having 100% green fertility gives you the ability to grow most crops in the game. I really want to make a point of this. Most areas in the game just don't have fertility like this. Or they're so far away from other cities that it's super inconvenient to settle there. Gut does not have this problem. When you settle in Gut or a place like Green Beach 2, you can grow anything as long as it's not from the swamp biome. And that is huge because you could grow hemp for drug manufacturing, you could make food cubes, you could make dust switches, you could make meat wraps, as we'll get into later, and that kind of flexibility is just super convenient. But as you're forming larger parties in the mid and late game, food is going to become a huge issue, so you're going to want to be producing your own instead of having to travel to a city each time. So okay, the fertility is good. What about everything else? Well, nothing to worry about in other areas either. Water levels in Gut are phenomenal. It's fantastic. And then the iron and copper is scattered throughout the region, but I would say it's consistently scattered, as in you're not going to have trouble finding it. For some reason, these giant trees in Gut, they're iron ore veins of 100 quality, and 3 characters can mine them at a time, which is wonderful. It's wonderful. So even if you don't have ore drills, you are taken care of as far as iron is concerned. Stone is no issue to either. As you can see here, there is plenty of green and yellow zones where you'll be able to get the stone you need for your building materials. Now, before I move into the drawbacks of settling in Gut, I want to reward people who have made it this far into the video with an extra tip. So north of Gut, there is a slave farm here. And if you buy goods here, they will be at a heavy discount. This will include crops as well as bread. So if you're struggling with food early on in the game and you're playing United Cities, or you're looking to start a farm in Gut, this slave farm will have exactly what you need. That all being said, in the spirit of providing accurate information, there's some drawbacks to settling in Gut, and these are the main ones. The first one is uneven terrain. There's not much flat area in the zone, so if you want a large, spread out base, it's gonna be tough to put that together in this region. And the elephant, you could even say the death giraffe in the room, is beak things. There are lots of beak things in Gut. there are nests. And if you even get somewhat close to gut, you'll likely encounter a patrolling squad of 2 or 3 beak things. Keep in mind, though, you're not going to encounter beak thing hordes that are wandering around that you would see in the bone fields. I do want to make that clear, but there will be nests. I had mentioned earlier in this video that I've settled gut twice, so I have a few suggestions for how to deal with the uneven terrain and the beak thing population. First and foremost, you could settle on the edge of gut, take advantage of its resources and fertility, but then have a direction where you're not going to have beak things arrive from. This will give you a priority as far as where to build your walls up, where to build your gate even, and you'll be able to proceed with building your base and have an idea of where beak things would come from if they were to attack your base. Beak things are, as dangerous as they are, they're notoriously bad at breaking down gates and invading a base. Even just 2 crossbows is oftentimes enough to keep a couple of beak things out of your base. Also, if you settle on the edge of the gut region, you'll be able to find more flat areas that are a little bit bigger than what's in the central part or the coastal part of gut, and that would work too. And honestly, though the uneven terrain is kind of fun to work with when you get down to it. For example, with this base here, there was a small hill in the middle of my base, and I put a bug house on top of it and created a keep almost, where I could build harpoons that would have an insane height advantage on whatever was attacking. I have fond memories of this base because it held up just fine against the Igor assault, and well, the Reaver attacks, they were hardly a problem at all, too. At this point, I do want to make a case for beak things, in favor of beak things being near your base. Because once you're walled off, the beak things really don't pose much of a threat. If you settle near the border of gut, you'll know where you can send your group, and they won't be intercepted by any beak things because they can quickly leave gut. With those things all in place, what you can do is identify a beak thing nest nearby. Then if you are attacked by, let's say, the Reavers, you can kite the Reavers party into the beak thing nest. And voila, you have one of the most cost-effective forms of defense available, taking advantage of the local wildlife. With the exception of the largest invasion forces in the game, like the Wrath of God and the Igor Assault, a beak thing nest will absolutely devastate any force that's sent to attack your base. And lastly, what I found to be true about beak things once you have a base set up is the patrols of 2 or 3 beak things will occasionally be aggroed by your turrets for your base. This is a wonderful thing because each time you visit your base or even just look up every couple of seconds, there are going to be beak thing corpses that just pile up at your gate. So you have pretty much an unlimited supply of leather and raw meat. Putting this all together, what do you think? Do you think it's worth the risk to settle in an area that has tons of beak things, or do you think it's too much of a hassle? I'd also be curious to see if anyone is settled in gut or is considered settling in gut, because I don't think it's discussed as much as some of the more popular base locations. I will see you all in the comment sections below. I've been trying to read every single comment, and I appreciate it whenever someone leaves one. Be sure to hit that like button if you've enjoyed the video too. I will see you next time.